segment of the Steve the Valley broadcast this week. Phil and host Morgan White Jr. here. Steve will be back on Sunday. The Valley One, as we call it in the trade. Rob Brooks is here now. Rob Brooks will be here then. Rob Brooks is almost always here, except when he takes vacations. And I have a very interesting show planned for you tonight. And the reason why we began with that sounder from The Price is Right when a contestant loses, all of us lately have been losers. And I will read something quick from Help Save the Price is Right website, Save the Price is Right website, and then I want to bring in my guest, the gentleman who coordinated that website, Will Timon, who's on. But, Will, don't say a word yet. I just want to read. During a description of a trip to France given away during a showcase, the following phrase was used. Do you like French toast? What about French fries? How about French kissing with your tongue? Then you'll certainly like this trip to France. Some of us remember watching this show with our mothers, grandmothers growing up. Can you imagine a 4 or 5-year-old child turning to that person and asking them, what does French kissing mean? That happened. That happened, which would have never have happened over the first 35-odd years of The Price is Right under the Bob Barker watch. But things have changed with Drew Carey. And if you want to call in and help us, kvetch, all right, fine. If you want to say whine, complain, but it's just not what we watched. It has become a PG-13, even R-rated game show. And my buddy Will Timon and I, Will, come on in, say hi.
Hello, guys. How y'all doing?
All right,
Hi, Boston.
Grab a seat, pull up, get comfortable. Will and I have spoken maybe 4 or 5 times, not just to coordinate this interview, but to complain, rail, just exhibit frustration to what that once honored game show has become. And you go ahead, Will.
It's just become an absolute travesty of what it was. And, you know, Morgan had mentioned about the showcase where they involved the trip to France, where they talked about French kissing. It's even digressed now where earlier this week they had 2 soap stars French kissing each other in the showcase.
Tell people about that showcase, because after that showcase was on, I called you. I called you. You didn't even...
It wasn't even 3 minutes after the show here, and Morgan called, and I just happened to be taking one of my morning naps, and I had to go back and watch it. It's to the point now where, you know, early on as we're watching, these changes were being made. I was watching, like, in a sadistic sense, how everyone likes to watch the train wreck. Right. No matter how much you try not to, the general person, as they're driving down the freeway and the traffic's slow, will eventually avert their eye or turn their eyes towards the accident. And I've just decided I can't do that anymore. It's too hard for me as someone who grew up and watched the show every day. Even at work, when I had a day job, I'd have the TV on under my desk to listen and watch the show while I was working. And now it's to the point I don't want to watch anymore.
I'm going to invite people to call 617-254-1030. Queue up in line now, because I know there'll be people who will want to tell their own little anecdotes of something that they have seen that they know they would never have seen under the Bob Barker days. But for anybody who did not see the Wednesday showcase thing that we're talking about, describe what happened.
Well, the showcase opened up. It didn't even start with Rich saying, your showcase begins with a prize. It was almost a little mini one-act play of soap stars, where the soap stars themselves announced which prizes were going to be offered. I don't even remember what the first prize was, but then the second girl said, I worked out my plan for getting you in trouble on this brand-new computer. And then the 3 pregnant models walked in, and then the male model said, oh, my gosh, we've got to hurry up and get to the hospital in this brand-new car. And then at the end, Andrew Richfield comes out from behind in what can only be described as a sextuplet pregnant belly to announce what's going to happen next, whose baby's going to be born first, or something to that effect.
Right. Now,
you can find out all of this if The Price is Right.
Now, outside of The Price is Right, and I think back to Happy Gilmore with Adam Sandler and Bob Barker in the golf tournament, you know, the character of Bob Barker that we know over the years, but he was outside of that character as MC, and was having fun with the role. Now, that to me is 100% fine. It's the man that we've seen emceeing The Price is Right, doing a little something almost out of character. Not completely, but almost out of character. That was fine. The show has just swirled around and is going down the drain.
As I've mentioned on my website, it seems more and more every day that the show is becoming less of The Price is Right starring Drew Carey and more of The Drew Carey Show starring The Price is Right.
And that's an accurate description. And the key
and he's
is,
not even doing a job of selling it. I think what most people are starting to see is that Bob used to have fun with the contestants and draw energy from whatever the contestant wanted to give, rather than Drew trying to force a comedic situation upon the contestant to garner a laugh or get a laugh from the contestant. And there's even instances where you're watching and Drew Carey seems like he could be less interested whatsoever as to whether the contestant wins or loses. He speaks in this monotone voice, well, let's see if you're a winner. Click. Hey, you won. Congratulations. And he's not nearly as into the process of what The Price is Right is.
Yes.
People.
I'll tell you what, we've already got calls coming in. My guest, Will Timon, who you live in Texas, correct?
That is correct, sir.
So when you see The Price is Right, is it at 10 in the morning, Texas, Houston, Texas, that time?
It is currently still on at 10 a.m. on my CBS affiliate.
Tell you what, a year from now that may not be the case. But
I agree totally.
There's a gentleman on and a lady after him. I know both of them. They have seen me in my club shows. And John, who will be first once I touch the screen, is a huge Price is Right fan, and we always used to talk about The Price is Right and the pictures of when I was fortunate enough to go see the show. The producer then, Roger Darkowitz, who I had interviewed a number of times here in BZ, rolled out the red carpet for me and brought the wheel out so I could see what it felt like to spin the wheel. And I feel like those were the days, and they'll never come back again. John, join our conversation here in WBZ. Say hello to Will.
Hi, Will. How you doing?
All right, John, how you doing, sir?
Good. Hi, Morgan.
All right, John.
Well, Morgan, you know how much I used to be a huge Price is Right fan. And I stopped watching it because Drew Carey has absolutely ruined that show. And whoever made that decision to put him in there as host should be fired. Because, he's just totally wrong for the show. I mean, I used to watch it every day if I was at work. I would record it. I don't do that anymore. And I totally agree with you. It's turned into the Drew Carey show starring The Price is Right.
And the trash perspective, and I said this before, I am not a prude. I am not a prude. I feel like Nick was saying I am not
Neither
a prude.
am I, sir. Neither am I.
I was an entertainment manager at a strip club. Trust me, I am not a prude. But I have judgments of when appropriate behavior, depending on the situation, should be X or Y or Z. And as in the Save the Price is Right thing I read at the very beginning, you are watching that show from time to time with kids around. And you want to explain to your 8-year-old kid what French kissing is?
Wow.
Why a man is pregnant? And you shouldn't have to even entertain doing that. And we never had to entertain filtering what we see in that show for our kids if they happen to be in the room.
Well, I remember there was one instance, and they called the lady down. Drew was joking with her. She's all laughing. Drew said something to her, and it just wiped the smile right off her face. I forget what it was, but he insulted her.
And he thinks it's funny.
Yeah.